Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories throughout the Carolinas. Our story today comes from Columbia, South Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, Navy veteran was HIV positive for over 20 years and the VA never told him. I'll provide you with a summary here, and I'll place a link to a few of the full articles in the description box. So this story is based on a medical malpractice lawsuit filed earlier in last month by a veteran and his representative against the VA, and more specifically the Columbia, South Carolina VA hospital. This is going to be a sad commentary, but it contains a critical learning experience for my fellow veterans. I want to encourage you to stay with me until the end, and I'll share what you can do to prevent something like this from happening to you. Now, the specific VA hospital in Columbia, South Carolina was not identified, but research shows that there is only one VA hospital in Columbia, South Carolina, and it's now called the Columbia VA Healthcare System. And over the years, the name has transitioned because first it was called the Columbia VA Hospital, then it became the Dawn VA Medical Center, and now it's part of the Columbia VA Healthcare System. And the person filing the complaint is a Navy veteran identified as John Doe to protect his identity. According to what has been reported, he had sustained some trauma while on active duty with the Navy, and the specific injuries were severe enough for the VA to classify him as being disabled, as well as having post-traumatic stress disorder. And he was being treated at the previously mentioned VA hospital in Columbia, South Carolina. Now, back in November of 1995, this Navy veteran was seen by a provider at this Columbia, South Carolina VA hospital, and during the course of his treatment, a series of lab work was ordered, and one of the lab tests was for HIV. And this is not unusual. The veteran was never told of the results, and like everyone else, if you're not told that you have a problem, you feel confident that a problem does not exist. Because if you have an abnormal test result, it's your provider's responsibility to contact you and make you aware of those results. In fact, if there's an abnormal test, the results are flagged to bring it to the provider's attention, and that provider is required to contact the veteran within a certain period, and that's the way it has been for decades. So if no one tells you something is wrong, you have no choice but to assume that everything is just fine. And again, the veteran was never informed of the test results, and in this case, it was a positive HIV test result. And so he went on with his life, and many years later, according to report, it was now 2014, a nurse practitioner came across the HIV positive test result and wrote a memo to that effect, but the veteran was never contacted. And over the years, I'm confident that the veteran saw his providers, well, he saw many healthcare providers without any mention of his HIV status. So fast forward to 2015, and it's now 20 years since that HIV test was done. That year, the veteran was again seen by a VA medical provider, and that provider noticed the HIV test results among the veteran's lab work. So he asked the veteran who his infectious disease doctor was, and the veteran said he didn't have one. And you see, some alarms should have gone off then. So the provider then asked the veteran if he was ever told that he had a positive HIV test, and the veteran said no, he was never told. And this is the part that really upsets me as a veteran. You would think at this point the provider would engage that veteran regarding the test results and then send him to the right agencies where he could at least begin treatment, because this is 2015 and it's 20 years since, looking at the date that HIV test was done, it was 20 years since it's showing that it was HIV positive. You see, at that point, he needed to sit with the veteran and say, look, there is an HIV positive test in your record. It's been here for a very long time. I don't understand why you don't know, but we need to at least get another test done and get you started on treatment positive or immediately. But again, that was not even done. Now, it should be mentioned that over this 20 years, the veterans had other medical problems, but no one made the connection that they could have been attributed to a positive HIV status. So he continued on with life as best he could, and it was in September 2018, which was now 23 years since the veteran first had that HIV test at the Columbia, South Carolina VA hospital. Well, the veteran had an emergency and he went to a non-VA hospital in New York City, and it was there he was given a positive diagnosis. But regrettably, by this time the disease has already progressed to full-blown AIDS. But at least he was now able to begin to get started on a treatment plan that would help to sustain his life and to treat the medical conditions and the problems he had been experiencing for over 2 decades. And I'm sure it took some time to get over the shock and the anger and the stress of realizing that he, the veteran, was not just HIV positive, but he had already progressed to full-blown AIDS, along with several associated medical problems. I'm sure it was overwhelming to say the least, and it probably took some time to get to the VA and to get them to acknowledge his illness and eventually releasing his medical records. And then trying to remember all of his intimate contacts for over the past 20 years and how some of those individuals may have inadvertently affected others. And the question is whether or not they were all still alive. I'm sure that in itself was overwhelming and scary. And just trying to find the right representative may have taken some time as well. And this past September, it was announced that he, the veteran known as John Doe, and his attorney had filed a medical malpractice claim against the VA. And if you're wondering just how something like this can happen, it's very easy. You see, you have a lot of fragmentation of care within the VA healthcare system, and most of all, you have many healthcare providers who stick around just to take home a sizable paycheck without really giving a damn about the population of the people they're paid, and paid very well, I might add, to care for. Yes, to many of them, we as veterans are nothing more than a paycheck and another number during a busy daily schedule. Many of them don't really give a damn about us. They don't follow up on their own lab results. They don't keep us informed. And if you're not assertive and you're not constantly not knocking on their doors or sending them requests for clarification messages, you'll get lost in the system. And these are the ones they categorize you as being annoying and difficult. But sometimes we and veterans are going to have to take a bit more ownership for our own health care and keep making those annoying calls until we are able to get the responses and the clarification we need. This story sent me in overdrive. I found myself going on to My Healthy Vet, accessing my medical records, downloading all of my blood tests, and searching for the last HIV test I had done. I believe it was almost 6 years ago, and I was never advised of the results. And even though I currently have a great relationship with my medical provider, and he contacts me whenever there's an abnormal test result, I'm not going to be taking any chances going forward. From this point going forward, I plan to check every blood test, every x-ray, and on top of that, I'm going to review the notes that people are written about me and pasting in my records. Can't trust anybody to do it for me because the same way this happened to John Doe, it could have happened to any other veteran. And just to think about the number of lives he may have touched with this disease, he was very concerned about his various relationships over the past 20 plus years and the number of partners he may have inadvertently affected. I could only imagine the stress and the dilemma he now faces, and I think it's very, very sad. So this case is still in its preliminary stages, and it most likely will never go to trial. In fact, that's me saying that I don't think the VA will allow this case to go to trial. I think they're just going to settle, and we probably will never hear about it again. But I truly hope that John Doe is getting the best possible care, despite the delayed diagnosis and the lack of care for over 2 decades. With the very best, wish the very best for him and his family. And ladies and gentlemen who are veterans, I want to encourage you to take an active role in your health care, ask those specific questions, follow up on test results, and from time to time browse through your medical records just to make sure the information in those records are accurate. You could be saving your life. And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this video. Feel free to share the video as well. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of your screen. And if you click on this notification bell right here, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.